Welcome everyone to Tavern Talk, the new D&D news show dedicated to delivering you with factual coverage of recent events straight from the tabletop without any added drama. This was a particularly busy week for D&D news, which makes this perfect for our inaugural episode. We have Critical Role making a huge announcement about a new membership streaming service aptly named Beacon, a new crossover event between Dungeons and Dragons and the popular survival horror game Dead by Daylight. The heavily anticipated 5th edition adventure module Eve of Ruin has had a rocky start for its pre-orders. There are some updates to the 2024 core rule set for D&D with the expansion of the SRD, alongside Black Flag's official release of their very own BFRD. And finally, a recent announcement regarding one of D&D's most iconic images has sparked a lot of debate online. So sit up because you're probably slouching, and why not hit that like button while you're at it as I take you through the recent events straight from my tabletop to yours. Starting off, Critical Role announced their new membership service, Beacon, being marketed as the new home for all things Critical Role. Similar to other streaming-like services, Beacon allows critters to pay a monthly or an annual fee for access to exclusive Critical Role content, such as monthly fireside chats with the casts, Critical Role cooldown every Thursday after their weekly episode, alongside early access to already established Critical Role content. Beacon currently has a 7-day free trial, but after that it has a monthly or an annual subscription plan being either $5.99 a month or $59.99 a year. A key point Critical Role wanted to reiterate was that this is not going to change any of their current streaming situation. They're still going to be streaming on other platforms such as YouTube and Twitch. This is purely meant as a way to supplement really invested fans as well as provide more content and give Critical Role a little bit more freedom away from third-party independent companies. If you've been on the internet for any amount of time, this might sound like a familiar story, as Dropout TV followed a similar path a few years ago. Critical Role appears to be taking notes from Dropout TV's success and forging along in their own individual yet similar path. But even still, Critical Role are no strangers to change. If you recall, they originally got their start under Geek and Sundry and only went off on their own somewhere around 2019. And given that history, it's really no surprise that Critical Role want to go off on their own with a more independent structure. Many fans are optimistic about the announcement and excited to see all the new content available to them on the new platform. But what do you think? Are you going to subscribe the first day, try out the free trial, or are you just going to stick to their current streaming services? Let me know in the comment section below. Next, we have the survival horror game Dead by Daylight announcing a collaboration with Dungeons & Dragons on Thursday afternoon over on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. While there isn't much information regarding the collaboration, the teaser did include a 20-second teaser video which seemed to feature a shadowed face with a toothy maw and large eye that may or may not look incredibly similar to one of D&D's most iconic aberrations, the Beholder. Although, while the teaser does clearly depict a beholder, many Reddit users are praising a mysterious user named Gumpy and seem to believe the villain being added will be none other than Vecna himself. This would make sense given that the Eve of Ruin adventure module is set to release in a couple of weeks, which is a perfect segue into our next segment. Anyone who has been following Dungeons & Dragons news for the last couple of months has 100% heard of the new upcoming adventure module, Eve of Ruin. Eve of Ruin takes players through a 256-page adventure from levels 10 to 20, where they face off against Vecna, arguably the most popular and well-known villain in the D&D multiverse. Officially releasing on May 21st, 2024, Wizards announced through their site that pre-ordering the adventure would allow users early access on D&D Beyond starting May 7th, 2024, exactly 3 weeks prior to the official release date. When attempting to access the module on D&D Beyond with the early access date of May 7th, some users experienced an error stating that they would only be given access on the official release date of May 21st. Turns out, while some users did in fact get early access on May 7th like stated, Wizards of the Coast changed their tune on exactly which users would be granted access. On May 2nd, Wizards updated posts about early access clarifying that only users who had purchased the pre-order prior to April 30th, 2024 would actually be receiving the early access copies of the module. This is a bit strange as the update came after the cutoff date for the early access, but the confusion becomes even greater when you look at the information on their very own websites. At the time of recording this video, you can see the updates on the original D&D post stating this change. However, if you navigate to the D&D store.wizards page, we can see the announcement to the digital and physical bundle copy with a banner regarding the early access. But the misleading part is right under the pre-order option, where you are led to believe that pre-ordering provides early access starting on May 7th, with no clarification about the cutoff date mentioned in the previous posts. Now, obviously, this is a pretty unfortunate turn of events, and while it might just be a misunderstanding or a simple oversight, it doesn't change how many players felt after they received the news. Regardless, even with this unfortunate scenario and the obviously upsetting news, many players are still excited to see what Eve of Ruin has to offer. Personally, I can't wait to get my hands on the book, albeit a little later than I'd hoped. Did you pre-order the adventure? And if you did, do you have access now, or are you one of the unfortunate ones who purchased after April 30th? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Moving on, we have more news regarding Wizards of the Coast, albeit a little bit more of a positive note than the pre-order fiasco we just talked about. Wizards of the Coast announced that the 2024 core rulebooks, being the Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and the Monster Manual, will all fall under the new SRD 5.2. Now, if you were playing D&D about a year or so ago, the letters SRD in that order might trigger some flashbacks for a couple of people. But don't worry, this appears to be good news, as all of those will fall under the Creative Commons License 4.0. If you're not familiar with the SRD, it effectively gives players the ability to create, write, and publish content for D&D 5th edition without worrying about copyright infringement. SRD 5.2 appears to include the same scope of coverage as the SRD 5.1, allowing usage or rules and disallowing the usage of specific lore references, although that was never included in the original SRD either way, so that's no surprise. I'm not going to pretend like I fully understand the details of the Creative Commons licenses, but based on the information on their website, it seems like a pretty damn good thing for creators. And not to mention, Wizards of the Coast specifically stated that the Creative Commons license they chose was irrevocable, meaning we're not looking at another OGL fiasco. At least not for a little while anyways. So while much of the community is still hesitant to fully trust Wizards of the Coast, this appears to be another step in them rebuilding the trust they lost with the community about a year or so ago. As someone who took the OGL announcements a little bit too personally and an avid homebrew enjoyer, I'm incredibly happy to see this announcement and excited to see the new versions of D&D. And on that same note, Cobalt Press officially released their update to the 5th edition SRD under the Orc license with the BFRD, specifically made for their new fantasy RPG system, Black Flag. If you were here a year ago, Cobalt Press took a hard stance in response to the OGL situation, and this seems to be their latest update for their continued plans with Black Flag. I personally haven't followed Black Flag all that much, but as far as I'm concerned, the more RPGs on the market, the better for everyone. And finally, we have the most controversial news of the week with D&D's most iconic image, the Redbox Warrior. Specifically, this image right here. Now, what news or controversy could come from an image as simple as this? Well, WizKids announced that they're releasing 10 secret rare minis and booster boxes to celebrate the 50th anniversary, and one of these secret rare minis includes the Redbox Warrior, referring to the warrior in this image. The confusion and controversy comes when WizKids states that the Redbox Warrior is purposefully and clearly presented as a woman, when traditionally, simply put, many fans of the series believed it to be a man. The image doesn't appear to have any defining traits of either a man or a woman, however, the confusion continues when the original artist actually chimes in on his Facebook page stating that this is very specifically a man created at Gary's request. While many fans don't appear to have too much of an opinion on this, there are some fans that feel as if the history of the game is being erased to fit some sort of narrative. But what do you think of the Redbox Warrior situation? Let me know in the comment section below. But that's it for the news for the week. Since this is the first video of its kind, I would really appreciate hearing your feedback and letting me know what you thought about it. I am likely to change the format of this based upon your feedback, so make sure you let me know in the comments below. I read every comment, almost always reply, and who knows, I might even feature your comment in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you on Friday.